Hey guys, welcome back. Another BitsBeTrippin. I'm going to have a real quick one for you. The last few days, I've been offline. I had some dental work, and I've been just going through a lot of emails and trying to catch up with stuff. And one of the things that come up is with people that watch this channel, especially that want to mine or learn how to do things with mining right now, is not a really good time to mine with regards to trying to buy hardware. So when you're kind of stuck in a position where you want to deploy some capital, get into crypto, and if mining was your one focus, I wanted to make sure that people, one, understood kind of the landscape and that there's multiple ways to not just buy into crypto and maybe, take a position. You can figure out what your hardware costs would have been and then how much you were going to mine, with just the calculations that got you to the point of like, hey, I want to mine. It looks like I can make some money in this, to where you can maybe deploy a portion of that capital into getting into crypto. That way you're at least, taking in enough crypto and have a position since you can't mine. What I want to show is kind of all of the different components within that landscape. And how do you take traditional banking, cash, credit, and deploy that in a way that gets you into some cryptocurrency? And what are the different ways? There's a lot to it. And I want to kind of go through some of this. So I've started this document here. I'm going to publish this out for you guys can get it on BitsBeTrippin.io as I start to refine this. But let's get into this right now. We're going to go through the entire landscape, or at least the start of the framework of the landscape. That way you guys can kind of see what's going on. So in the upper left-hand corner here, this little blue box is you. And you really have, if you're kind of tied into the main, commercial capitalist world right now, you have access to traditional banking, which means you can get loans, that sort of thing. You have credit access, most likely, and you have cash, maybe cash in the bank, maybe you got your STEMI, and you're trying to deploy that. And you're like, okay, how can I get some of that access to, some crypto here? If you look just to the right of that, I wanted to kind of set up this is that kind of enclave of where like you would personally either store your own crypto or, what are your different options there? So you have mobile options. A lot of people anymore use mobile wallets. You'll download something on your phone. Within that, most of the apps that you have access to, and we'll get into the thing at the bottom there, are things that are what I call SaaS. So they're software as a service, meaning that they're going to be a custodial service, which means they hold your keys and your coins. And for that, they charge you a small fee when you're buying it. And then you inherit all their security architecture when it comes to, hacks and that sort of thing. So some of the bigger names that are out there will cover. Again, this is not a sponsored video. I'm going to cover a lot of different company names here. We'll probably have a few shameless plugs down in the description below to some of the affiliate links, because I do actually do business with some of these companies. But by no means is not paid review or anything like that. This is kind of just the landscape for you guys. So with some of the SaaS wallet stuff like Coinbase, Crypto.com, BlockFi, these are companies that can take you can link up your traditional banking service to, and you can just buy straight crypto into your account, into those accounts. There's a setup with it. It is a KYC, which is know your customer. You're going to have to give them a lot of information when it comes to your bank information, your social security number, that sort of thing, especially in the United States, because that's the way they handle tax liabilities and all of that sort of thing. So, and also know your customer, anti-money laundering, that sort of thing. Those are, probably the easiest flash to bang for you to be able to get into the crypto space. The one I would call it downside to it is they don't have a lot of assets. So if you look at the crypto market in general and you wanted to speculative buy maybe a few assets that you feel because you've done the research on it that you want to participate in, it's a little harder to get to. And we'll get into some of the other ways to get into that. But that's the really kind of only downfall, but it's kind of the gateway access into crypto and get you the crypto that will allow you to exchange that crypto for these other assets that you're maybe looking into. So something like Crypto.com has a lot of assets that it can store within its local wallet, and it gives you an ability to start to buy, sell, and trade some of those different assets. So again, we're right over here on the SaaS wallet app right here. You can download apps like that are local to the phone. So you have their stuff like Exodus, the Exodus wallet. And we'll bring that up real quick here, exodus.io. You can get a mobile and a local computer version. You can share those keys in between it, so you have access to both. Both access to that wallet. That means that you have the keys. Those are your keys. You'll have the paraphrase to be able to link that, you back that information and have access to that wallet. And what people don't really capture is the fact that all of these wallets, especially the ones that you have local, that you have the key and the paraphrase to, those are just windows to the cryptocurrency that's sitting on the blockchain. So if you have keys to, let's say, Ethereum, those keys are just your access to the Ethereum that's on the blockchain. If that wallet goes away, you lose your computer, you lose your phone, that sort of thing. That's why it's so vital to keep access to that. So most of the setups on these type of wallets, when you download that wallet, that's going to walk you through the paraphrase keys. That is like the most important thing you can possibly write down when you're doing that. You want to have your keys to get access back to your coins. Local phone wallets offer that, just like the crypto wallets that will go onto a computer, same way. Then you have light node phone wallets, something like the there's a phone. There are a couple phones out there now. HTC has one called the Exodus One that has a local light node enclave. So it's a special piece of architecture that's on the phone that was designed to host a light node, which just means at the end of the day, when you store crypto in that proprietary wallet that they have on that, like HTC Exodus One, that when you go to transmit a send, or when you're transmitting that first transaction, you are essentially self-signing that locally from that wallet, because you're running a light node. So when it goes to transmit, it already gets its first confirmation. At the end of the day, the average user, it doesn't matter. This was more for potential of smart contract apps that only interacted with outside the traditional networking environment, where you could have technically a mesh network of connections and stuff on these phones. Hasn't really taken off yet. Maybe to be something in the future, but again, that's just an option out there if you buy a phone that has a very specific architecture for crypto. I think in the future this is going to be a thing that's going to be coming out on some of the newer phones. Maybe we get the 12th or 13th gen. Samsung phones probably be first, and then maybe as other companies start to spin up maybe their own cryptocurrencies, you'll see more of this type of architecture on a phone and give you a little different setup on that. But again, three kind of setups there. One that's custodial, your coins are there, the app is access to it. Then you have your crypto wallet local. So you have core node, which is when you're downloading the entire core architecture of the particular blockchain. So if like you do Bitcoin Core, you're going to sync, and it's going to take you a while to sync that node, possibly up to 3 weeks. Plus, you are essentially downloading the entire blockchain, and circumstantially also have a wallet. And then that wallet, you have a seed and the same sorts of things, where you need to keep that seed to be able to re-establish that wallet if you ever lost that computer with that node. These are not as important if you're just a common user and you don't want, there's no other benefit that you're going to get from having a full node. If you're trying to search history or doing some other kind of activity that requires a full node, most of the time this is a hard punt onto something that's more of a light node setup, to where, like Exodus, again, I'll bring Exodus as an example there. MetaMask, so you have browser wallets, which is that second one here. Browser wallets are things that are integrated into the browser. You'll see here, I have MetaMask. I haven't set this browser up with MetaMask yet, but it's integrated into the actual browser. So the reason why it's good to have at least one of those type of wallets is a lot of the Web3 and architecture that's being built on the web will listen for those type of wallets. So like as you start to get into this more hybrid kind of purchasing ability, if you're talking NFTs, you're talking any kind of exchanging of coins, and we'll get into the dexes below here, it looks for those web-enabled wallets. So if you're using the Brave browser or anything to that effect that has a wallet integrated into its browser, that's what we're talking about here. Again, that's going to be the same kind of architecture where you have a seed to be able to reestablish that wallet, paraphrase that, as it were, to be able to link you back to it. In addition, most of those things that you want to encrypt, or you'll have it now, it'll take you through the options of encrypting that, which is just an additional password to where if you try to establish, if somebody was able to get your core node wallet, if somebody was able to take that wallet.dat, it's encrypted. So then, if your computer was compromised, it would have to break through your paraphrase or your code that you put in there for it. Token wallets can be established out of a core wallet or a browser wallet, where effectively you've spun up a wallet, you've got a paraphrase for it, you have the public key, which is the address that you're going to send crypto to, and then you have the private key, which is the access to the wallet, and then you print that out, and then you store that, and then you can send coins to that address, and it's offline. So like you can go out there and see the address on the blockchain, but that wallet's setting offline, and you have coins in there. So then there's an option for that too. And then again, the little key thing here just shows that you have a personal responsibility if you have a local wallet that's non-custodial, so something like Coinbase or anything like that, that keeping your paraphrase and your seed is important. And then securing the access to move funds. So you have the thing about like the vault, that's where you're storing your crypto, and then you have the transactions being able to send out of that wallet, right? The hardware wallet allows you to protect that to where you can have a seed and a wallet that's based on hardware, and it's like a two-factor authentication where you can't do that unless you have that hardware device, and it's going to give you a PIN code to then dual sign that transaction to be able to send those funds away. So if you're talking a lot of crypto and you're going to be a self-custodial, pursuing a hardware wallet option there's a ton of videos out there. I've had a couple sponsored content videos with like Ledger. I have not done a Trezor yet. I should do a Trezor at some point, but there are different options out there for hardware wallets. I've done a few other ones that you guys can get out there and go out there and look too. So that's kind of like your ability to send and receive crypto. You need to establish a wallet. It's the first step, right? You can go out there, you can do it for free, you can download it, the software, set it up on your phone before you make any transaction at all. And that establishes your ability to now either sell, cash, use credit, or some other traditional banking, if you're moving assets and then getting access to cash and then being able to buy crypto, that kind of gets you set up for it. So then we go below here and we look at the kind of architecture that's out there right now. So we have a CEX, which is our centralized exchanges, and I haven't put these out there yet, but this is stuff like if we go like Coinbase, BlockFi, um, crypto.com, that's those are centralized exchanges. So those are they have a company, they have CEOs, they are traditional, kind of like the traditional finance, but for crypto. Centralized exchanges can seize funds if something's happened to an account. Binance is another one as an example. They can freeze the funds, like they're not your keys, not your coins type of thing. But they also, you inherit all of their security architecture. The early days, I was very kind of against the exchange side just because I had several experiences personally where BTCE went under or was seized, and my coins were lost there, Mt. Gox, or even earlier than that. Cripsy, from Big Vern, just dipped and left and stole my Dogecoin. Several exchanges went under, and that's kind of the risk when you have not your keys, that if the exchange goes insolvent and they disappear, your coins go with it. Now, Coinbase just coming out showing 52 plus million users, having $1.8 billion quarter. It doesn't look like Coinbase is going anywhere. You're probably in pretty good shape having something in Coinbase, but diversifying your risk in general is always a good thing. Do with what you're comfortable, though. Get a hardware wallet, move some basic coins over, basic amount, if it's a couple $100, just to make sure you know how to do it before you try to move your whole stack over there. There are things like hybrid exchanges, IDEX. I have that as an example up here, to where they talk to high performance trade engines. It's doing it through an offline trade engine, which bottom line, it's using the centralized basic type of services. But your keys, your coins, when it comes to the decentralized piece of doing the swaps, like it's just being an aggregator there. But you have hybrids out there. Layer 2 implementations of Bitcoin, stuff like Lightning, Channel, Liquid, are kind of hybrid. They're moving more towards centralized because you have to open up payment channels. There's more centralized aspects to that. If you have money locked into a channel and then somebody, if there's a seize action, there's more centralized activity moving toward that. But I still consider it kind of hybrid out there, where you have your keys, you've opened a payment channel out there, now you have coins locked up. Sort of thing. So those are hexes, not to be confused with the cryptocurrency hex. Hex is kind of the hybrid exchanges, and I think we'll see more of those cropping up. Then you have DEXs, and then there's a range of, when we talk DEX, which is decentralized exchanges. It's also been very synonymous with DeFi, which is different. So you have an exchange, and then DeFi is the decentralized finance, which then are actually doing specific functions, stuff like offering liquidity to borrowers, where it's a community-driven system. So instead of a bank offering up, depositories, people that have money in banks, and then they are offering that offer interest, and then bank makes interest, you make interest in your bank. This is where the bank part goes away. The DEX is where essentially you can do lending and aggregation. You try to get use the very smart contracts in a way that allows the automatic arbitrage. You're inheriting a lot of that activity that goes on there, and you are benefiting from that arbitrage activity. So there's DEX aggregators, which is like 1inch and Uniswap. Those are effectively like routers mixed also with aggregators. So like 1inch now has both on Ethereum's network, so it sits on top of a platform. I have some drawouts here where I'm gonna have a separate video if you guys want to understand the architecture of these things. Let me know, and I'll go through the kind of components that make up the architecture on these DEXs and how the automatic market makers work and how the DEX works. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want more of that specifically. We'll walk through kind of a breakdown design of that. But you have aggregators, you have Uniswap, you have the ability of these platforms that sit on top of the traditional crypto networks like Ethereum, Polkadot, Avalanche. You have these platforms, and then they have tokens on top of it, and then these DEXs are effectively routers, allowing you to go from like Binance Smart Chain over to Ethereum, and then have their various tokens and liquidity pools that set up under each of those. So you have that. You have DEX exchanges, which are more traditional exchange-like, where it's not just about the platform that they're setting on, but it's multiple platforms coming into the exchange, and then all of the subsequent tokens that set underneath that and allow exchange more directly. There was a few that were like Ether Delta and a few other ones that were out there that were considered kind of the main DEXs that had more of kind of a central point of failure when it came to like complying with rules in such a way that the government could come shut them down. So you had Ether Delta and a few other ones that had more of kind of a presence, a body of people that could be pressured to make changes to it. So why it was the activity of the transactions were happening in a decentralized manner, the activity of the people that were contributors to it were targeted. So moving towards a more traditional fire and forget smart contract design, is kind of where things are kind of going, to where people can deploy the smart contract. It does all the functions, and it's living and breathing on the ecosystem. And there's not a huge amount of infrastructure supporting it on the back end that can be targeted by, either governments if it were in a country that wanted to clamp down, that sort of thing. So that's the difference between the aggregators and kind of the exchanges. Then there's relays, stuff like Bamboo, which are really just doing kind of interoperability and bouncing between different exchanges, decentralized exchanges. Then you have like DEX stablecoins, which are the aggregation like curve, where you have all of this market making that keeps stablecoins at their peg. So there's a whole bunch of this. I think this could be its own separate video where we break that down. And really, for the care factor for this video is, if you're trying to get some of these tokens or some of these things that you see on CoinMarketCap and you're like, how the hell do I get these? There's a high chance that buying on something like Coinbase, getting your Ethereum, moving it over to something like MetaMask, and then leveraging one of these crypto dexes to be able to get exposure into some of those other tokens. Now, if you just want to own the token and hold it, or if you want to actually implement it on part of DeFi where you're locking up as liquidity, that's how you would do that. You would connect that through those methods. There's also atomic swaps. So you have something like Equality.io, where they are, providing cross-chain swaps. You can see this. They have a browser extension here where it's done non-custodial. There's no registration, trustless security. It's doing the atomic swap, but with a front end. So a lot of people don't. Again, these are not sponsored videos. These are me just shouting out, some of the tech out here and where it sits at. You also have protocol scripts. That was like some of the first scriptings that were out there with the ability to set up, through push scripts on Litecoin to Bitcoin, that sort of thing. Atomic, protocol scripts that are out there, and that's based on the protocol that you're working with. If it's like Litecoin or Bitcoin, you can also get crypto via ATM. So you can go right from cash here straight to straight to an ATM. And the problem with ATMs is the fees are pretty high. So like I can go straight from cash to ATM, and then back and forth. When you're interactive, the ones that I've touched before, were like high, very high. Like the spot prices were a lot higher. So they false frontline the Bitcoin price. So I think the last one that I seen actually a few days ago, they were spot pricing $63,000 Bitcoin price. Well, the price of Bitcoin at the time was like 59,000. So the fee was like, 5% on top of that. Well, what they're doing is they're just charging you on the false front line. So having your like crypto.com app or something up there, Blockfolio, something to that effect, and then seeing, what's the spot price on the ATM versus what the spot price is here, really kind of shows you if there's hidden fees on the ATM side. I think it's just one of those things where people are trying to get their cost out of it quick and their ROI quick. But over time, as more traditional finance gets in there and they already have the banking architecture, the ATMs may become more of a thing when you go to your traditional ATM. We'll see if that ends up happening. But, going from cash to your ATM and then from Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency you're with it back to cash, some of them also do that. Some of them do it to up to $400, and then it needs your information. Some of them, depending on what state you're in, requires a lot more information than that. I'll bring up this real quick, kind of shows you, was it coin at ATM radar? Gives you kind of a location check, based on if you click on this, and you can break down to see your various locations. Good website to let you look at kind of how to find some stuff there. We look at personal purchasing. Now, this is a risk, especially in the U.S. Like, you can't go buy. The government has really cracked down, mainly due to money laundering issues with exchanging crypto for cash. So, seeing people that are posting on Facebook or Craigslist Marketplace, that sort of thing, you have all kinds of risks. Not only that you might be breaking the law, especially with the amount that you're dealing with and the actor that you're dealing with, you also have just the physicality of not knowing the person, and now you're dealing directly with money. So it's a little different than just goods. You're probably going there with cash, and it's just a setup for possible issues. So I personally recommend not doing that. There are more kind of like a eBay style setup with like local Bitcoins, where you actually have those sellers actually have like a feedback to where you can see all their past transactions, or at least, some ossification there, but showing that, hey, this person's actually done multiple trades. Local Bitcoins is kind of a thing for that. But or just going through a licensed MSB broker. These I haven't seen as much, but people that are, they'll usually take those licensed MSBs and they'll go into like buying an ATM or some other traditional thing. So, just finding somebody on the street that says they're licensed, that sort of thing. Just putting in mind, getting it from a personal purchase from cash straight to there, a lot of risk with that. And usually you're paying a higher price anyway. So you're paying a higher, spot price than traditional, because it doesn't make any sense for anybody to sell the Bitcoin for spot price, because they can just go to an exchange and sell it. Accepting it for goods. There's a lot of conflicting information here, and I've tried to look in to see what kind of issues there have been. If you're selling goods directly, I mean, Craigslist and a few other ones actually offer you the ability to check the box saying that you'll accept, Bitcoin or other cryptos for your assets. So you could sell something. What I found traditionally is most people don't do this. Like, one, if they don't understand it, or if they do have crypto, they're not trying to part with it. Most people are in the holder mindset versus trying to use it. And that's in general across all crypto. So it's pretty hard to, I think, find that. You can receive it on cash purchases through something like Lolly. And I'll bring this up. So I use Lolly. I just started using it quite a bit here. Let's see if I can go back and you guys can see. I'll let you guys see my account right now. So like I haven't done a lot. I've done a few purchases here, but I've earned about $30 in crypto. And that's just like when you go here, I'll bring up I get this little emailer here. So like if you're booking a vacation, stuff like that, it is click and go through it. It's a plugin. It's just like any of the other type of apps that are plugins. You go, if you're, I like getting their mailers because there might be stuff that I do want to buy, or if I'm renting something, or if I'm booking through like a Priceline or whatever, that get your 5% back in Bitcoin. So they spot price it. Now the delta here, I would say, what people don't understand is when you buy something through Lolly, and let's say it's 5%, you get it at whenever they resolve the 5%. So why you may have purchased something, let's say for $100, and let's say it was 5%, you would be owed $5 in Bitcoin. And let's say Bitcoin price right now is at $58,000, $56,000, something like that, right? Well, if Bitcoin's price goes to 80,000, when they go to resolve the payment, it might be 60 days out. So you will actually get your $5 in crypto at like $80,000 Bitcoin price. So this is a short. I mean, if crypto goes all the way down to, $30,000, you'd be getting your $5 at $30,000 price, equivalent. So just bottom line, it's not instant. And that was something I discovered after doing it. But Lolly is a way for you just to kind of incrementally get crypto that way. Then you can get BitPay. If you own a business or you're selling stuff, you can set up to where you can receive crypto. That BitPay is just they have some API tools. I know Shopify now has some integration when it comes to crypto to accept crypto for goods. And then you can have a portion of that going to cash and then keep some of your crypto, that sort of thing. So you can receive, if you're a business owner, you can receive crypto if people want to pay for crypto. Another, which is mainly this channel, is mining. So proof of work mining, hardware costs, ops costs, and configuration and output crypto. So you earn your crypto through providing the security of the network. So Ethereum, you're throwing hashes that way. You are a contributor, and for that contribution, you are paid in crypto. For some cryptocurrencies that are not on exchanges, that are freshly minted, freshly new cryptos coming out that are proof of work, especially if they're fair launch, fair mined, there's also what you call speculative mining. So if some new crypto comes out with some innovation, some utility, and you have a piece of hardware, you are usually the first mover that gets access to that. I always bring up Ravencoin for this. This is one of the main reasons why I loved Ravencoin in the very beginning. It was fair launch, fair. Everybody had an opportunity. I did a video within like less than 20 days of its launch. And when it was still being mined partially with CPUs and just starting getting into GPUs, being able to get into that very early allows you to speculatively mine. You're providing hash rate to the network, and for that, you're getting a lot more yield for your coin. There's a lot of opportunity gain there. I think a lot of people know about this now, obviously, but mining is a way to get in if you can get. Do not pay 3 times for your GPUs right now, though. That is ridiculous cost. And then lastly, paid salary. And I might be missing something here. This is just my kind of viewpoint on all the different aspects of getting it. I would love comments below if I'm missing something or if we want something more refined here. But, if we talk, paid salary, you can use something like Bitwage where it's automatically, if you want to take it just right out of your, paycheck, you can set up some configuration to where your payroll is paying Bitwage. Bitwage is paying you partially in cash and partially into a particular crypto to where you can take it out of your mine. I mean, that's kind of, unless your employer is doing that, you're more than likely best to set up a SaaS wallet, something like T0 crypto, which is more of a local phone wallet, but using a SaaS app. So your coins and your key is on your phone. And then you doing, a weekly or a bi-weekly purchase, it's effectively the same thing. You're just putting a portion of your salary into crypto. Again, long-winded video. It's about 20 minutes in. I think that's enough. I wanted to give you guys kind of a concept. This is more of or not concept, this is actual what's going on. But to start to expand on this and make this available to you guys if you want to take this and share it with somebody else. I just wanted to give you all the different types of on-ramps and maybe get some ideas going on to being able to get into crypto, since you can't probably mine right now if you can't get hardware. Let me know. Thanks for following, subscribing. Again, last shameless plug in the description below. I'm going to have a few of the links to a few of these services that I'm using. I'm going to have a more expanded view that'll probably be a paid content. I'm talking to them about it right now because I am a user of a few of these different services like BlockFi, but I want to give it a comprehensive video if I go through that. So stay tuned. Glad to be back, and I will catch you guys on the next one.